Red Sonja, Volume 1, Queen of Plagues. Writer Gail Simone, illustrated by Walter Giovanni, colored by Adriana Lucas, lettered by Simon Bolin, senior editor Joseph Reinbat, based on the characters by Robert E. Howard, executive editor Luke Lieberman, in memory of Arthur Lieberman. Print in February 19th, 2014, released digitally March 19th, 2014, published by Dynamite. That was quite a long bit of opening. Now, Gail Simone is a big name in comics. I don't care how you feel about her political views or whatnot. I really don't. After all, she did The Sandman, I think. Maybe? I don't know. Either way. So how does she do in this fantasy genre of the Conan universe? If you liked it, then I don't think you'll like my answer. But then again, the only pop culture opinion that should matter to you is your own. Just like the only pop culture opinion that matters to me is my own. If you enjoy the sort of nerd reviews, comic book culture, and whatnot, do feed the algorithm. And here we go. Let's discuss. American comics means color, but color can be overrated sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Adriana Lucas did a great job here, but like I said before, and I will die on this hill, good art doesn't excuse weak story. It just doesn't, which is a shame because the artist did such a good job on this. I mean, it was a star. The art was good. I didn't super love it due to the story, but if these guys did an art book, definitely would buy it. But this isn't an art book, so yeah, just the star. As far as American comics goes, there was a lot of play and expressiveness with the panels, and they all had a purpose with how it was done to help accentuate the story, which is a good thing because the story needed all the help it could get. There are some issues with how the action was presented, but that was more in line with how just American comics does things, and nitpicky on my part to ding it for that. Big moments with nothing in between, so everything seems disjointed, but again, that's an American comic book styling thing. That's just how it goes. People do enjoy it, which is why people keep buying comics, I imagine. But just for that, I'm giving it a star. It's good, but I'm not in love with it. Take what you stereotypically know about barbarians, hordes, king, and fantasy, and this is what the dialogue sounds like. I'm surprised there wasn't a have at thee moment here, where they literally say have at thee. I know that Red Sonja is supposed to be this rough and tough, that sort of thing, but, her bodyguards are like these try-hard wimps. The king is like this noble person, and her enemy is quote-unquote complicated, and with that you can see, this whole thing felt really superficial. What you see is what you get, and what's underneath is very much like that bikini armor, not much to the imagination. I am giving this a half a star. I am going to stand by it. It felt superficial. So it has that, quote, I am woman, so hear me roar kind of vibe, end quote. Which one would expect from this sort of thing. The usual themes of honor is there too. I mean, how could it not? It's pretty much a fantasy staple at this point. Stolen throne, staple. Betrayal within the family, staple. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. I mean, come on, this came out in 2014. I mean, it's all here, it's all superficial. I'm just giving it a half a star. I mean, am I a jerk for not liking this, or sexist or something? I don't know. The plot is as follows. Red Sonja is brought into a conflict where she used to be a gladiator slave, but was freed by the just king who came over there and conquered the place and freed her and her companion. But alas, that companion has come back with an army to take over that same kingdom, in which we somehow get Red Sonja brought in, and somehow Red Sonja has the plague. And, because it's that whole medieval settings, she also needs to find justice for the true murderer of the king, which turns out to be his bitch-ass son, who is really into science. And I'm like, wow, such riveting plot. No, or rather, stereotypical. I'm just giving this a half a star. There is a plot here, so I'm being objective, so not sexist, but there wasn't much to it. Gail Simone is a name that you will hear often in comics. usually tied with the feminist brand. And for that, there is a lot of political bias in reading her stuff. Depending on your own political views, it can color how you perceive her work. Luckily for you, I am apolitical, as in not on either side. I really don't care, as long as they can tell a good story. And this isn't a good story. Technically, it is a story, yes. We have a beginning, middle, end, and it almost feels as if it was written in a way that Gail Simone isn't such a big fan of this genre. Or at least that's how the writing comes across. The pacing is too quick, the writing is just cliches and tropes common within the genres. There's really no sense of fun here. And I'm not complaining about the usual lack of coherent action scenes, in which, the tension is implied and not felt. The twists are just not really surprising, really. It's like a really bad jump scare. I mean, you're surprised because it came out of nowhere, but it's really hollow. The tension is like immediately gone afterwards. And maybe it's just me, but having a page in which it shows the critics' quotes of how great it is, and considering how much of an in-club thing, critics can be, it's kind of a red flag, especially if it's right at the front of the book. And if your book is good, you don't need all that extra hype before people read it. If anything, it sets the bar up way too high, and if it doesn't reach that, then it's, not good for the writer. Now, some of you may object and say, well, I'm not a Red Sonja fan, or I wasn't a fan of Gail Simone, so therefore whatever I say is irrelevant. And you know what? That is your opinion. That being said, each new book is a chance to grab new fans, and if you can't, well, it's kind of a failure on the part of the writer, simply put. And I do stand by this. I am giving this 3 stars. I really don't like being negative. I don't like giving out bad reviews. I really don't. I want to enjoy this medium because I do enjoy comic books and whatnot. Just haven't enjoyed the ones that I've reviewed recently. That being said, I hope you are having a good day or good evening. If you do enjoy this sort of content, do the YouTube thing, feed the algorithm, like, subscribe, comment, help a channel out. And I hope, again, you are having a good day or good evening. Ciao, everybody.